Jaya Kunda Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Vihari Jaya Madhava Jaya Kunda Vihari Krishna Vallabha Jaya Deva Krishna Vallabha Jaya Deva Yashodanandana Brajnana Yashodanandana Brajnana Yashodanandana Brajnana Yashodanandana Brajnana Yashodanandana Brajnana Yashodanandana Brajnana Rajnana Yashodanandana Brajnana Rajnana Yashodanandana Brajnana Rajnana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Lord President. Om Jnanatimirand. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we'll go straight into the Mangala Charan. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Deshtatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining today. As you can see, we don't have a verse up on the projector. That's because we're doing a little bit different session today. So instead of talking about one verse from the Bhagavatam, we will be talking about a topic called Vaishnava etiquettes. So who is familiar with this term? I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this before. Yeah. So we have different types of etiquettes. Even in the material world, we see there is business etiquettes, social setting etiquettes, how to act in different types of settings. So similarly, we have Vaishnava etiquettes as well. So if I have to ask you, what is the meaning of etiquettes? What does it mean? What would you say?
Ideal behavior.
Ideal behavior, yes. Anyone else? Expected behavior, yeah. So the definition it says, etiquettes means it's a code of polite behavior in society or among members of a professional organization of any particular group. They decide on what should be our code of etiquette. It's a set of manners. So then that being said, when we're talking about Vaishnava etiquettes, first of all, we should discuss who is a Vaishnava. Yes, what is the meaning of a Vaishnava? So again, I'll ask you, it's a very common word that I'm sure a lot of you have heard. So if you have to say Vaishnava, what is the definition of a Vaishnava? There are many definitions, but something that comes to your mind. Devotees of Krishna or Vishnu, yes. Anyone else? No. Sorry? A compassionate being, yes, that's a symptom of a Vaishnava, for sure. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one who even chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra even once is described as a Vaishnava. So I'm sure most of you have already chanted. We chanted it together. So technically all of you are considered Vaishnavas. And one who has even chanted Hare Krishna once is considered Vaishnava, and that is why everyone should respect that person. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Sanatana Goswami to write about what should be the activities of a Vaishnava. So for example, if someone sees you outside, how will they know that you're a Vaishnava or you're a devotee? So in the purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says that a person who simply chants the holy name of Krishna once becomes perfect and should be regarded as a Vaishnava. This is confirmed by Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamitra. He says that if one can chant the holy names with faith, then they are considered to be a Vaishnava. And then Vaishnava etiquettes, when we combine those two words, Vaishnava etiquettes just means the manners and the activities that a Vaishnava should be performing. And as we discussed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami that you should be writing about the activities of the Vaishnava. And Sanatana Goswami, he wrote that book, Hari Bhakti Vilas. And that entire book, and you can find it on Google, that entire book is basically talking about how a Vaishnava should perform and how they should act. Who is aware? You know who Sanatana Goswami is? We have the Shart Goswami. Everyone is somewhat familiar with the Shart Goswami. We have their deities and pictures on the altar as well. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami to write this book about the activities of Vaishnava, one of the biggest qualities of a Vaishnava is that they are very humble. So Sanatana Goswami, being from a Brahminical family, and he was such, even materially, he was very accomplished. He responded and he said that I am the most low-born person. I have no knowledge of good behavior. How is it possible for me to write authorized directions about Vaishnava etiquettes? So this is a perfect example of how a Vaishnava should act. Yes, even though Sanatana Goswami was both materially and spiritually, he was so accomplished, he considered himself to be a low-born person. And as we read more in the chapter, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, whatever you want to do, you will be able to do correctly by Lord Krishna's favor. He will manifest the real purport. And then eventually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Sanatana Goswami asked him, how should actually a Vaishnava behave? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Madhya Leela and Chaitanya Charitamrita described few of the activities that a Vaishnava should do. So Mahaprabhu summarized some of the activities that the Vaishnava should do and how they should act in the material world. One of the things that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said was, my dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods worship you, and they get purified by just touching you. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about all the demigods, that even if they touch Sanatana Goswami, they're able to get purified. So this was this is how elevated Sanatana Goswami was. But it is a characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquettes. Maintenance of Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. So when we came to the temple, we all like to dress up. I did the same thing in the morning. So similarly, we dress up because we're trying to attract other people so that they feel attracted towards us. So similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that the true ornament of a devotee is their Vaishnava etiquettes. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave, so there were 6 Goswamis, Shart Goswamis. He gave instructions, 5 different instructions to all the Goswamis before he departed of how they should propagate the Krishna conscious movement. And in that, again, he was very much mentioning, so again, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm not going over all the 5 instructions. He specifically mentions the importance of following Vaishnava etiquettes. So I'm just trying to set the foundation, because some people ask, well, why do we need to follow them? So if you read the scriptures, it is mentioned, especially in Chaitanya Charitamrita, multiple times on the importance and why we should be following Vaishnava etiquettes. Now, of course, Vaishnava etiquettes is a very broad topic. So if you read the book, Hari Bhakti Vilas, it talks about everything, how we should enter the temple, how we should sit, how we should offer obeisances to the deities, how we should eat, how we should be in the kitchen, how we should sleep. So it's a very, very large topic. Of course, we cannot go through all of them today, but I would like to touch on a couple of the topics. So we'll talk today about how we should be in the temple. And then if we have time, we can talk a bit more about how we should act in front of other devotees, how we should behave with them, how we should have etiquettes in relationships. So first, we'll talk about the temple etiquettes. And as I was researching on this, I didn't realize, but in Calgary, they have certified etiquette teachers. So if you go on Google and you just write etiquette coaches, they have a certification course. And you can take a certification course and become a certified etiquette coach. And they will teach you everything in terms of, again, how you should act in a social setting, how you should act in a professional setting, what are culinary etiquettes, how you should eat at a table, how you should use which hand should be a fork, which hand should be a spoon. And they charge a lot of money for this. I was looking online and I was very surprised that this is a real profession. So, but lucky for you today, we won't be charging anything. It's all free of cost, and in bonus, we'll actually have Prasharam at the end as well. So there's an added bonus. So in terms of temple etiquettes, we'll start with the first thing that everyone does when they enter downstairs. You all entered the temple. What is the first thing that everyone does after entering the temple? Remove the shoes. Correct. Yeah. And I hope everyone did that. You should remove the shoes. Anyone knows why we remove the shoes when we enter the temple? I know we've been doing it ever since our parents did it, so we did it. But any reason why we do that? Shoes are dirty. Yes.
Temples already clean. We shouldn't bring dirt outside.
Temple is clean. We should not bring dirt from outside. Any other reason we remove shoes?
The dirt also gets a lot of negative vibes. Temple has a lot of positive vibes. You remove the
So now we're going in the right direction. So yes, negative vibes. If our feet touch, yes. Yeah. So great answers. Essentially, it was said that back in the olden days when kings used to travel, they would travel on palanquins. Yes, there will be people holding the kings up. And from the same concept, when you are being held up in the air, you start to feel proud. You start to feel that I am something. And it is because I have such a high societal position, that is why everyone is respecting me. So similarly, of course, we have the external features that it gets dirty and, we should not bring dirt in the temple. But also, we need to get away from the mentality of being the king, of being the master or the Lord. Because when we are entering the temple, we are entering Krishna's home. So similarly, we should be respectful in the terms that our mood should be that of a servant. So when a servant comes, they don't come in with their own palanquins or they don't come in with their own shoes. So that is why we remove the shoes. Because regardless of our qualifications, Prabhupada once said that, we can be MBBS, we can be PhD, MAD, anything. At the end of the day, our mood should always be that we are only the servant of Krishna. Yes. So that should be our mood at the temple. So right when we enter, next time you're removing the shoes, then you can consciously think, this is why I'm removing the shoes, and that should be my mood when I'm entering the temple. So now you've taken your shoes off. What is the next thing we do usually? We'll wash our hands. Yes. So again, same concept. We should wash our hands. Of course, we don't want to have dirty hands when we're coming inside the temple. And then we come upstairs. So we'll go step by step. So now we are there at the back. What is it that you would think that most people will do?
Vaishnava.
Yes. So we pay obeisances, of course. But there are also different types of obeisances that we have to pay. So first thing that we have to do is we have devotees sitting in the temple. So we have to do Vaishnava Pranam. So we have to pay obeisances to them. And then anyone knows what pranam mantra you should say? Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa siddhavevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. And then it is also said that there are two different types of obeisances. There is the Pancha Anga and then the Dandavat. So when we are paying obeisances or Vaishnava, of course, if you do Dandavat is better, but we can do Pancha Anga as well. Everyone knows what Pancha Anga obeisances means? Yeah.
Can you expand?
Okay. Maybe we can do a demonstration. Could you? So that's the Panchanga. And we say it Panch because 5. So we have our feet, our knees, and then our head. So that's the 5. That's the Panchanga obeisance. And while you're doing that, then you do the Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, the pranam mantra for Vaishnavas. So that's the first obeisance that we do once we enter the temple and we're in the back. And so just to also pranam mantra, we'll say what the English definition is, because sometimes we say it in Sanskrit, but we don't really know or understand what we're saying or why we're saying. So Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, it means I offer my respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees that are present here. And they are all just like desire trees. So desire trees means that they're trees that can fulfill the desires of everyone. And they're full of compassion for the conditioned souls. So again, here in our pranam mantra, we're glorifying the Vaishnava. They're saying that if you're able to get in association with a pure devotee, they have so much strength and power that they can fulfill all the desires that you have. That is essentially what we say when we do the pranam mantra. So we're done the Vaishnava obeisance, then we enter. And then what is the next step we will do after that? Obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada is seated back there. So after we're done our Vaishnava pranam mantra, we come inside and then we do obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. And when we're doing obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, again, there is a pranam mantra for that too. We also did it when we were doing the Mangala Charan. Anyone knows the pranam mantra for that? I'm sure everyone knows this. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisheshak Sunyavadi Pashat Deshatarine. So this is where we are glorifying Srila Prabhupada. And so we're done with Srila Prabhupada. And again, so Srila Prabhupada, when we're doing the obeisance, it is said that we should do full dandavats. For men. Mataji, if they want to do, then they can. But the one that Prabhu just showed, that kind of obeisance is also acceptable. But for men, it is said that you should be trying to do the full dandavat. Everyone knows how the full dandavat looks like. Maybe I have to ask Devraj Prabhu again. Yes. So full dandavat means dandavat, they actually said that, yes, Prabhu. Dandavat, it actually said that it should be like a danda. You know, everyone knows what a danda is. It's a stick. It's a long stick. And imagine if a stick is standing and then it falls. So it falls flat on the ground. It's not hunched. It's not doing anything. It's straight on the ground. So that is how we should be performing Dandavat Pranam. We should be falling straight to the ground. Be careful, don't hurt yourself, but that is the concept. So now we have done our Vaishnava Pranam mantra, we have done our Srila Prabhupada. You've taken blessings from Srila Prabhupada. Then we come to the deities. We walk towards the deities. Now again, when we are doing the Pranam mantra to the deities, we are doing the Dandavat Pranam again. So you have to do the full Dandavad Pranam again for men, and then for Mataji's, it's up to their discretion. Also now when we are doing the full Pranam mantra for the deities, there is different Pranam mantras for that. Yes? So if you're doing for Radha Madhav, then we have Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu, Dinabandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha, Kanta Namasute. For Radharani, we have Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanusute Devi, Pranamami, Haripriya. Then again for Panchatattva, we have Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. And if anyone is not familiar with these pranam mantras, there is a book again for Hari Bhakti Vilas. All the pranam mantras are listed out in those. One more thing. So when we're doing our obeisances, on what side of us should be the deities or Prabhupada? Left side. Why is it left side? Sorry?
Our heart is on
Our heart is on the left side. Yes. There are other explanations, but usually you will see that always Prabhupada is on the left side of us, and then deities are also on the left side. So if they do it from this side, then they're on the left. And again, for Mataji, if they do it from that side, they're on the left. So, yeah, one of the explanation is that because our heart is on the left side, and we are trying to become closer, bring our heart closer towards Krishna, so we should be doing it from the left side. There's another thing that we don't do. How do we do the Dandavad? Do we do it from the side or do we do straight? Do we do it from the side? Why do we do it from the side?
We don't want to point our feet to
Prabhupada? Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Why do we do it from the side? No. So again, there are various explanations given for this, but one of the explanations that made sense to me was, imagine if you're walking, so for example, if Devaraj Prabhu is walking, and then you want to pay obeisances to them. So if you pay obeisances right in front of him, what will he have to do? He'll have to stop. He'll have to stop and he will be disturbed because you are lying in front of him. So the concept is that we don't want to disturb Prabhupada or Radha Madhav, because they have so many other things that they're doing that they're busy in. Just because we are paying obeisances to them does not mean that they have to respond right away, or they have to stop doing what they are doing. So we do it from the side so that they do not get disturbed. They can continue doing what they want, and we at the end also pay our obeisances without disturbing them. So that is why you have seen when a sannyasi or a guru comes, wherever you are seeing them from, you could be seeing them from across the road, and you still just pay obeisances there. So they don't even know that you're paying obeisances, but you still do it because that is your responsibility. But we should also be rest assured that these are not normal people. So they know what's happening. They understand even when you're doing the obeisances, what kind of intention you have. So our intention should always be that we are not disturbing them, and we are doing our thing and they are doing their own thing. So similarly with Prabhupada and deities as well, we do it from the side. When we're doing the Dandavad Pranam, so when we did the other one, we said the Pancharanga, because there are 5 limbs touching ground. And when we're doing the Dandavad Pranam, we say Ashtaranga, because there are 8 limbs that must touch the ground when we're doing the Dandavad Pranam. So it has the 2 feet, 2 knees, our 2 hands, chest, and head. That's 8, yes. So sometimes we also see that we might have chanting bag in our hand, or we might have some papers, we might have something, and then we are performing the Dandavad. So what do? We'll raise one hand and we just do it with one hand. Yes, a lot of time people do that. So instead of stretching both our hands in the front, we just keep one hand up and we do with just one hand. So then it's not the 8 limbs touching. So the proper etiquette is that we should not have anything in our hands. If you're doing Dandavad Pranam, then keep whatever you have aside, and then properly do the Dandavat Pranam. And of course, there are other nuances to paying obeisances, because obeisance is a very, it's not that something everyone does. So other nuances, if you're initiated devotee, then it's said that you should also do your Guru Pranam mantra. You do the Guru Pranam mantra, then you do the Srila Prabhupada mantra, and then you come to the deities. So when you get initiated, you get the mantra from your Guru. So you should always do that as well. And that also helps us remember the Guru Pranam mantra, because sometimes we forget. Because it's not something that we have to say daily. There's nothing else where it's required to be said. If you're second initiated, then you have to do the Gayatri. But first initiated is not required. So this is a good way to remember it all the time. So you say Guru Pranam mantra, then Prabhupada, and then you come to the deities. Sometimes also there could be senior Vaishnavas present in the temple, and you want to pay obeisances to them. So again, of course, we should be doing it in such a way that they don't get disturbed. And then also, if they're eating, if they're bathing, we should not be doing it at that time. But if you still want to offer obeisances, we can do it mentally. So through Mansik group, we can do it mentally, and we can just offer the obeisances. So now we have done our obeisances. Everyone remembers, we took the shoes off, we washed our hands, came upstairs, do our Vaishnava Pranam mantra, then Prabhupada, then the obeisances to the deities. Now, what should be our mood when we are doing obeisances to the deities? Because these are all external things. All the obeisances we did, they are all external. We memorized the Maha Mantra, the Pranam mantra, and we did it. Now, what should be our mood when we're looking at the deities? Surrender, yes. I should also change the question. Like, how should you actually look at the deities? Do you look straight at the face? Do you look straight from the feet? So in Srimad Bhagavatam, in 2.2.13, I'll just read the translation. It is said that the process of meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord and progress to his smiling face. The meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves, then the thighs, and in this way higher and higher. The more the mind focus becomes fixed upon the different parts of the limbs, one after another, the more the intelligence becomes purified. So that is how we should even look at the deities. We should start from the bottom. We should start from the feet, and then we progress up to the face. So we should never directly look at the face. And in terms of our mood, of course, as we mentioned, the mood should always be of service. Because sometimes what happens, we come to the temple and we have our shopping list. Yes. And then we tell Krishna, this is all I want this week. So please make sure you give it to me. And that's normal behavior. Most of us have that. So we have a list of things that we want to ask Krishna. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course. Krishna says he's a supreme personality, so who else will you ask? A child only asks his father for things. So similarly, we can do that. But that should not always be our mood. Our mood should be of service. We should ask, so Krishna, I'm here now. Is there something that I can do for you? Of course, there's nothing that we can do for him. But it's similar to, you have a 5-year-old kid, and the father might be working on the car. He might be doing something on fixing the car. And the child will come and say, Father, can I help you out? Of course, this 5-year-old kid cannot do anything. The father does not need him. But still, the father gets happy that the child is asking. And that is the exact same mood that we have with Krishna. Of course, Krishna doesn't need anything. But he is just happy that, okay, the devotee is thinking in that way of what we can do for him. So similarly, Krishna also becomes happy. So there's a pastime where, there was once a devotee, and he would go to the temple quite often. And he would look at the deity of Krishna, and he would think that, Krishna is standing there all day long. He must get tired. And he's just standing there with his hands up and the flute. He must get tired. So maybe I can relieve him for one day, and then I can take his position. And Krishna, of course, being residing in our hearts, he said, okay. So he came off the altar and he told the devotee that tomorrow, please come dressed as me and, take my position. So the devotee came before Mangalarati, before anyone came to the temple, dressed up as Krishna, and then went on the altar and took his position. But Krishna warned him that you just have to stand there. You cannot interfere in anything that is happening in the temple. Just observe. You cannot interfere. He said, okay. So the next day, the devotee went and he stood up there. And he saw as the day progressed, a lot of people came. They had different wishes and demands. And he was just standing there. And then he noticed that a very rich person came to take darshan. And the rich person, he had a bag full of money. And the rich person, of course, what do most rich people want? They want to become more rich. So similarly, he came and he said, Krishna, you've given me so much, but I want some more. And before leaving, he forgot his bag in the temple, full of money. He forgot his suitcase. And then he left. Then after that, a very poor person came. And this poor person was very staunch devotee of Krishna, but he was very financially poor. And he came there and he was again praying, please help me out. I need some help financially. And then suddenly he saw that bag full of money just sitting there. And he thought, oh, this must be Krishna's mercy. So he picked up the bag and he left. And then the third person came, and this third person was a sailor. So a sailor, they go on the ships. And he came and he said, I have to go to this big trip tomorrow. My ship is starting tomorrow. So please just, make sure my trip goes well. And I'm just praying before I go to board my ship. And before he could leave, the rich person came back to the temple. And the rich person started looking for his suitcase of money. And when he didn't find it, he thought maybe the sailor stole it. So he actually called the cops and he said that this is a sailor and he must have stolen my suitcase. And the cops started to take him away, to put him in jail. And now the devotee who was standing on the altar, he could not take it anymore. He was like, I must interfere. So he came off the altar and he said, no, the sailor did not take your money. It was the poor person who took the money. So the cop said, okay, they went to the poor person's house. They took the poor person to the jail. The sailor went to his ship and the rich person got back his briefcase. Everything is good. Everyone got what they wanted. And the devotee felt very proud that I've done such a good thing. So at the end of the day, Krishna came back and asked, how did it go? And the devotee said, yeah, it went well. And, I did this, this, and this. See, I helped you out so much. And Krishna said, but I told you not to interfere. But the devotee said, I had to. The wrong person was going to the jail. And then Krishna started to explain why that was happening. Because sometimes we feel that our plans are better than Krishna's. That is why we come here and ask him things. We say that, okay, this is my job, but I want a job better than this. So Krishna decided to explain to them that the rich person came and he asked for more money. But the rich person, like most rich people, they're very miser. So he did not want to donate anything. So when I took the briefcase from him, indirectly I was getting him to donate. The poor person came and obviously he needed the money. So I was going to give him the briefcase. So the devotee understood, okay, he's like, okay, fine. But what about the sailor? The sailor did nothing wrong and he was still going to the jail. He was like, yes, he was going to the jail because the ship he's supposed to board tomorrow is going to drown. So that is why I was restricting him from taking that ship so that he can stay in jail and he can take the one after. So this is how, it is impossible for us to understand how Krishna's plans work. So many times things happen in our lives that we have no reason or rhyme as to why it happened. So we should also be very careful. They said that in London, Radha Gokulananda, in the Bhaktivedanta Manor in London, there's a big temple. They said that you should never really just ask anything, because it is said that most of the times, whatever you ask for, the wishes come true. But we don't know what is good for us, so we don't really know what to ask for. Yes? So again, when we are doing the darshan, our mood should be that of a servant, and it should not be just with our shopping list as to these are the things that I should get. Because it's not possible for us to understand what is Krishna's plan. Okay, so now we have taken the darshan. What do we do after that? Usually? Chant, yes. That's a very devotee answer. Yeah. But okay, even to chant, we have to sit. So we take the darshan, and most of the times we will sit. Now there's a few ways of also how we should be sitting in the temple. And please don't take it in the wrong way. There's a standard, but you shouldn't feel bad that, okay, I'm not following the standard. We're just saying the standard, but do the best that you can. So it is said that while sitting, one should not expose one's feet to the deities, or we should not point our feet towards the deities. Because sometimes we sit down and we'll put our legs out towards the deities. So we should never do that. Ideally, feet should always also be covered. You've seen when devotees, they wear a dhoti and they're sitting down, they will cover the feet with the dhoti. So the feet technically should not be uncovered. One should not fall asleep while sitting in the temple. And as far as possible, we should not have our backs towards the deities. So again, sometimes, we say, well, Prabhupada is there, we might have our back towards Prabhupada. But as far as possible, based on how the temple is structured, we should not have our backs towards the deities at least. It is also said, and these are more stricter rules, and these are some things that even I have done sometimes, is when we get tired, we put our feet, like we raise our knees up, or we might lean on one hand. So again, the standard is that we should sit straight, and we should sit just with our feet covered, similar to what most of you are doing. But then again, of course, we have physical constraints. Some people are not able to sit on the floor, you get tired and all of that. So again, these are the standard, and we should try to follow them as much as possible. Then once we sit down, then most of the times we start doing.
One question, then before we sit also, we also touch our head.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah, so the idea is that, you do your DT obeisances, and then you go and sit down. It's not required, you can. It's not, it wasn't in the Vaishnava etiquettes, but of course, the more obeisances you do, it never hurts. So now we're sitting, most of the times we start talking to this person next to us. So when we are sitting, what should be the etiquettes of talking in the temple? Again, there are a few different etiquettes. We should not be talking loudly, because then again, it disturbs the ambience of the temple. We should not be harsh when talking to someone else. We should not chastise anyone or make fun of them. We should not, and this is something in ISKCON sometimes we notice, we should not criticize the demigods. Sometimes, some devotees would tend to do that. We should not do that, because demigods, again, they are very elevated souls. So we should never criticize them. And this one is very relevant. We should not indulge in prajalpa. Anyone knows what prajalpa means? Sorry? Gossip. We should not come to the temple and indulge in gossip. How long do we come to the temple? 1 hour, 2 hours a week. We have so many hours to gossip outside. We can gossip all day outside, and when you come to the temple, we should try not to gossip. And prajalpa basically means anything that is not related to Krishna. So we should try to limit our mundane talks within the temple. Another thing that is relevant in our setting is talk nearby devotees who are chanting. Because sometimes we notice that someone might be chanting, sitting in the corner and chanting, and we'll stand right next to them and start talking very loudly or talking about something else. So we should not do that because that person will get disturbed. Technically, that is what you should be doing. You should come to the temple and chant. But of course, we will still indulge in some talks with others, but you should be just cognizant and careful about who is sitting around you, and we should try not to disturb them when they're chanting. So that is something that we should be careful about, because a lot of devotees come on Mangal Arati and do the chanting after that. So ideally, everyone should sit together and just chant. And if you need to talk, then of course you can step outside and do the talking. And talking, how we should talk, this is very much overlapping with how we should generally behave with other devotees. I don't think we'll be able to get through the entire section of relationships because it's almost 9, but I'll touch base on it. How we should behave with other devotees. Yes. Because I'm sure we have all faced a situation where we have had disagreements with other devotees. Anyone wants to give any example that you have had? You don't have to name any names, but you have had in the temple where you had a disagreement with another devotee. I know, of course, it's happened, but no one is saying it. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
To put extra namak or not.
To put extra namak or not. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's such a petty thing to be arguing about. Because you can taste, two people can say the same dish, they can taste it, and they will have very different reactions. So how can you say what is enough? But yes, anyone else? Anyone, we have had some heated discussions with other devotees. No one wants to give any example. I know we're online, so management might see it, So yes, because when we are in a social setting, it is very normal because you have two people and they have different ideas and different perspectives of the same situation. Then there can be different views. It is said that if there are two pans, no matter how civilized those pans are, they will sometime always bang, and they will make a noise. Right? If there are two, they will always make a noise. So ideally, how we should behave in these situations, that is what we should focus on. Krishna, it is said that all of us are parts and parcel of Krishna. So if we just have that one concept in our mind that everyone is parts and parcel of Krishna, it will be a lot easier to develop love for our fellow devotees. And really for anyone in the world. It will be a lot easier for us to develop love for them. And when we're able to see just beyond this external body, and we understand that we're all just trying to progress in Krishna consciousness, then it is easier for us to deal with situations such as this. So when someone is saying that there is no salt in your cooking, then you can just say, okay, you can add some. Instead of getting argumentative with them. Just on the argument, I recall reading the story. There was like an elephant and a donkey. There was an elephant and a donkey, and they were both fighting. They were arguing about something. So the donkey kept saying that the grass in the forest is red. And the elephant kept saying, no, the grass is green. And they kept fighting. So they could not solve the issue, so they went to the lion. Lion is the king of the jungle, to resolve their issue. And they presented their issue, and the elephant said the grass is green, and the donkey said the grass is red. And the lion responded and said, yes, the grass is red. And the elephant was very shocked. Like, you're the king, how can you say the grass is red? But he said the grass is red, and the donkey became very happy, and he left. So the elephant then asked the lion, why would he lie? Why would he say the grass is red? He's like, because you should understand who you're arguing with. Is it worth your time to argue with the donkey that the grass is red? Or is it better that you just accept and agree to what he's saying and then move on with your life? But that's the example that came to mind when you talk about if there's less namak or less high namak, or it's everyone's different taste. So similarly, he said that you don't have to fight all the battles. You should pick your battles. So we should see that, is it really the best usage of my time to argue with this person? Does it make sense? Because time is very limited, and we should be always concerned about how we are utilizing our time. So some other points that we can talk about when we're dealing with the devotees. The Vaishnava society, the devotee society, is structured where the juniors are always paying respect to the seniors, and then the senior is always providing blessings to the junior. There are considerations of seniority according to initiation. So even among the godbrothers, there should be consideration that they are senior godbrothers and junior godbrothers. So you should see that, yes, you might have godbrothers who are all initiated by the same guru, but you should look at when they receive the initiation. So there should be that gap of seniority and junior. All sannyasis, no matter who they are, they should be considered respectful, and they should be considered as a guru. And then this one, of course, everyone tries to become humble. One of the measures of seniority is how humble you are. The more advanced of a devotee you are, the more elevated you are, the more humble you will be. So that's one of the symptoms of a senior Vaishnava. And sometimes you will notice that senior Vaishnavas, they also present, they might praise the junior devotees. But being the junior devotee, you should never become proud. Because sometimes you become proud, like, look, I can sing so well, I can cook so well, and never have any mistakes in how much salt I put. So you might get proud. Yes, so we should never become proud, because sometimes you can feel good. And sometimes, when someone refers to us as a Prabhu or a Prabhuji or Mataji, again, we feel really good about ourselves. They're referring to me as a Prabhu. So Prabhupada actually says that he said this in a letter. He wrote this in 1967. And Prabhupada said that you should not use the title Prabhu mechanically. You should meaningfully apply it. It is okay to call one another Prabhu, but one should not become a Prabhu. The idea is to remain a servant and accept others as Prabhu. Just because someone calls you a Prabhu, one should not become a Prabhu and treat others as servants. Because what does Prabhu mean? Master. So just because someone is calling you a Prabhu does not mean you start treating everyone else as a servant. Yes? Always our mood should be that we are the servant of the servant. And in this way, when we all have that kind of mentality, then the chances of having arguments is very less. Because the servant will never argue with the master. Because if you have that kind of mentality. So that should be the mentality. Yes? And then again, they are like, if you're able to practice these things, that's what really makes a difference. Because sometimes we feel that there are two different types of qualities. You can have the external qualities. So, for example, someone is wearing dhoti, tilak, they have a chanting bag. These are all the external qualities. And then you also have the internal qualities, such as humbleness, humility, compassion towards other people. So it is said that which of the two is more difficult to attain? Internal, right? So it is said that when we are trying to look at another devotee, we should always look at it in the form of their external opulence. So externally, even if they're dressed up nicely, we should pay respect to them. But when we're trying to examine our own progress, we should look at it only internally. That am I actually humble? And only then we should examine our progress. But in real life, we always do the opposite. We say, yes, he's dressed up, but he doesn't follow any of the things. He's not humble. I crossed him in the staircase. He did not say Hare Krishna to me. Not a nice person. But then when we examine ourselves, we say, look, I'm dressed up so nicely. And he still did not say Hare Krishna to me. He should have paid respect to me. So it should be the opposite of that. Internally, we should always be more hard on ourselves when we're trying to examine our progress. But we should give the benefit of doubt to others that they must be progressing anyways. So these are just some points that we discussed on, Vaishnava etiquettes in terms of how we should act in the temple, and some of the ways of how we can deal with devotees that are around us. And like I said, of course, there are so many other topics in Vaishnava etiquettes. We have how should we do kirtan? We all do kirtan, but sometimes we don't understand what are the etiquettes while doing kirtan. How should we play the instruments? How should we take prasadam? What are some of the ways and do's and do nots when we're taking prasadam? How should we be in the kitchen? How should we be when we're cooking? So there are a bunch of other topics that can fall within the Vaishnava etiquettes, and then if required, then we can talk about them in the upcoming sessions. But 9:05. Yeah, I don't think we have time to start another section. But the one thing that you should understand from this is this is the ideal standard. We should not become discouraged because we just realized out of these 10 points, I actually don't follow any of them. Just the fact that you're sitting here and listening, hopefully listening, means that you're interested. And that should be it. Like everyone has different circumstances. Everyone has a different set of limitations, and we should be cognizant of that. So we should do the best that we can. There's that famous pastime when Lord Ram was building the bridge from India to Lanka. And to summarize, all the Hanuman, Sugriv, they were lifting these big boulders, and they were dropping in order to build the bridge fast. And then they saw that there was this little bird or like a squirrel who was holding just a little pebble and also was helping out in building the bridge. And some of the stronger monkeys, they made fun of the bird or the squirrel that, what will this pebble do? Here we need to build the bridge all the way to Lanka and you're putting this pebble. But then it was Lord Ram that said that it does not matter because the pebble for that squirrel is the same as the big rock for you. So even the fact that the squirrel is able to lift that pebble and able to help is the same thing. Just because you have a larger material body and a stronger material body, you're able to lift a heavier rock. So we should not just be looking at the output. We should be looking at the intention with which we are doing the service. Because again, we should never forget that Krishna doesn't actually need anything. Whatever we do, we come and do kirtan, we come and do service for him, we're only doing it for our own benefit. It's not like if you don't do it, it's not going to happen. or Krishna doesn't need it. It was Ayendra Prabhu, he said in a lecture that we come in the morning and we give all these ornaments and these plastic trinkets that we put to decorate Krishna's body. But do you think he cares about those plastic trinkets? Krishna said that he is, in the six opulences, wealth is one of his opulence. So it's fully full, like he doesn't need anything. Yes, but we should always be careful about that what we can do, and based on our own situation, we should try to practice as close to standard as possible. Because everyone's situation can be different. So there was this teacher in the class, and she asked a math question from all the students, and she said that if I give you 2 apples, and then I give you 2 more apples, how many apples would you have? And all the students replied, what did they reply? 4. All the students replied 4, except one kid. One kid said 5. And everyone laughed at that one kid because he could not solve it. So then the teacher went to that one kid and she repeated the question. I give you 2 apples, and then I give you 2 more apples. How many apples you will have? And the kid again said 5. And then teacher thought, okay, maybe he's not understanding the question. So she says, I give you 2 strawberries, and I give you 2 more strawberries. How many will you have? And the kid said 4. So that means he knew how the math question worked. So then she asked him again, 2 apples and 2 more apples, how many? And he still says 5. And now the teacher is very angry. So the teacher is like, how can you say 5? It's like, because I have one from home in the morning. So all the students were laughing at him because they were judging, because they did not know what his personal situation is. But personally, that child was correct. He already had an apple, so of course you give him 4, he has 5. So similarly, we should never, from tomorrow we come to the temple and we see someone not doing full obeisances or not doing it properly, we should not judge them. Because once we start judging, then of course they say that is the beginning. Because what happens once you judge? Then you become arrogant because you feel I'm better than him. As you become arrogant, you become more proudful. And that is said like that's the easiest and the quickest way to destroy our spiritual journey, to have a fall down. So we should never be judging. So with that, I will stop here. Thank you for letting me share some thoughts. And if there's any questions, it's 9:10, I'm not sure. We might want to head down, but if there are any questions, anything related to this, we can discuss and go from there. Yeah.
There are many people who come to temple and in front of deities do this and this.
So do what?
This, like, full their ears.
Yeah, it's just different ways of approaching the deity. Because what is the significance of holding your ears? You're just asking for forgiveness. So again, it's not very much dependent on the external actions you are doing. Because it is also said that when you're doing the Dandavat Pranam, your mood should always be that you're asking Krishna to be his servant. And it also said that your eyes should be half closed. Should be half closed so that you are able to concentrate. Because they say when you're meditating and chanting, your eyes should be half closed. It's very difficult to do that, but half closed, half open. So similarly, it should be what your intention is. So you can do the ears, you can do whatever you want. But as long as the intention is there. And why it is said to do the Dandavat Pranam? Because Dandavat, when you're lying on the floor, fully stretched out, that is the most humble position that you can be. You're literally lying on the floor. Because when we're standing, we can feel proud. It was, I think there was someone reading this pastime, that in some temples, in small temples, the deities are not on a high altar. And then the height of the deities can be a bit can be small. It doesn't have to be life-size deities in every temple. And then there were people that, they would stand in front of the deities, and of course you were taller than the deities. So they would feel proud that I'm actually bigger than the deity. So those kind of thoughts, even if you don't consciously want them, they can still unconsciously come in our mind. So that's why when we're doing the dandavats, it cannot be more lower than that. So to your point, yes, you can do that. But again, by doing the dandavat, it helps you instigate those feelings of humbleness and the feelings of being a servant. So that's why when you do those external actions, it also helps us internally to develop those feelings.
I have a question.
Yes,
When we are doing Dangat Pranam from this side,
it's on the right side.
the deities are on the right side.
Yeah,
This is they should be.
it should be, yes. So as per the Haribhakti Vilas book, the Vaishnava Etiquettes, it should be on the left side. But again, there is a bit different for Matajis and men. For Matajis, is even said you don't have to do Dandavat. Like it could be a bit difficult, so you can just do the Panchanga. And just because of the temple setting, the way the temple is structured, then it can come to the right side, you're right. But again, then we should focus on our mood. And if required, then you can also do it from this side. So that's Krishna is closer towards the heart. Yeah. But it's good then, because I did make that mistake and someone actually pointed out. So it's nice. Someone was listening.
It's not difficult.
No, that's, yeah. Good. Anyone else?
Can you quickly explain how to take prasadam?
Then you just become more hungry and you won't listen. You have to go downstairs. Couple of points, of course, we should make sure we do our Mahaprasadam before observing. Another point is that we are honoring the prasad. So in Hindi, they said that, prasad, we don't take prasad, we get prasad pana types. And the reason for that is because we are not even qualified to get to take prasad. So because of the fact that we are receiving prasad is also Krishna's mercy only. So yeah, it's a very broad topic and there are lots of different things that we can do, but few things if you can just keep in mind, make sure you do your Mahaprasadam before, and you should feel happy in the sense like you should feel, I'm forgetting the word, but appreciative that you're receiving the prasad. It's not the same thing as you're going to McDonald's and eating outside. Because it's prasad, of course you should not eat in McDonald's anyways, but of course, because the prasad is again cooked by devotees, it has been offered to Krishna, you are eating it in a temple setting, and most likely you're eating it among devotees in Sadhu Sangha. So all of these things, they add up, and it is not easy to receive that kind of prasad. You can see today we have 50 people here. Only you are able to receive that mercy. So that's why we should be able to respect it. That is why we say that we should never throw prasad. Right? You should take it home or you should do whatever, but you should not throw it. Because of course, when you're throwing it, then you're not respecting the prasad.
One more phone.
Yeah.
So when we offer, if we are outside and we meet a senior devotee, should we offer like Dandavat Pranam or how should we offer obeisances?
Again, it depends who the devotee is. If it's a sannyasi, then see, it's different levels. So Dandavat is of course the highest level. So if wherever possible, you should do Dandavat. Even on Sundays, sometimes when you come to the temple, it's so full, there's no space to do Dandavat. So then you just do the normal Panchanga and then you go forward. If you're on the road, of course, it's difficult to do Dandavat. It's even difficult to do Panchanga because there might be stones or rocks on the floor. So you do what's the best. Of course, it goes in gradations. The best is Dandavat, then you do Panchanga, and then next one you can just fold your hands. So whatever is possible. But as per in terms of standards, then you should at least do Panchanga. Especially if there are sannyasis, then you should do that. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, so we can wrap up here, and thank you. And yeah, please go downstairs and have some prasadam. Hare Krishna. It's all done. Yeah. So Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale, then was this